Digital Dave, your host, and I'm joined today by the Digital Doodle. Doodle what?
Digital Doodle?
Digital Doodle. So I did say it right, okay.
Why is mine not hosting you?
There you go. Say hello.
Hiya, and I'll monitor through Twitch. Your Twitch.
Okay.
So that's how I'll see.
Okay. And you
I might see a slight delay, but it's fine. Why we got into photography and what our first cameras were. So, Dave, why did you get into? He says we're both sounding good, so that's good.
Perfect. One less thing to worry about.
So, why did we get into photography then?
Something to do. Good man.
What? Something to do?
Just to pass the time, man. You know, it's like all creatives.
I felt bored.
It's like every creative were like, yeah, I'm going to be the next big thing.
Next Van Gogh. The reason why I got into photography was because I had always, I've been horse riding since a young age, and I decided that it was quite difficult for me to be consistently riding. I maybe only rode it was good that I rode once a week. I was really happy and thankful that I could even just get riding. But I had also, during high school, gotten an interest in photography because I had always just done art, as a class in high school. And the teachers had a camera to take pictures of our photographs. And that was kind of the first time that I actually properly looked at DSLRs. So I was like, and people, they just flung your camera at you and stuck it on auto and just, that was it. But I was like, no, I want to find out how to actually use it. What are all these buttons? What do they do? Sitting with a camera like this, pure. So, and I just.
That was a beautiful demonstration. I liked it.
I got into photography because I wanted a new language, Lindsay.
Say that again?
You got into photography because you wanted a new language?
A new language.
Well, it kind of is like a new language, all the numbers and everything, especially when you're dyslexic, it's all the different numbers that it's got on it, the different f-stops, the shutter speed and the ISO, there's a lot to deal with.
We obviously did different photography. I don't know what an f-shop is. An
f-shop, yeah, I've never done, to be honest. He said, when you were on a horse, your assistant had to take pictures. Yes, when I was horse riding, Lindsay very kindly took photos for me and video for many years. Thank you. But that's kind of, I guess, where it started. I had to also take some photos in high school to do paintings of. I did some self-portraits and stuff like that. So I guess that is kind of where I guess the root, or the solid root of it comes from. And apart from that, also growing up with beginning to get there was picture, you could take pictures on your phones, but they were kind of rubbish. So it was really in the time where cameras on smartphones were really becoming a thing. LB says F shot, F asterisk shot at an angle.
An angle. I feel like shots fired. Shots fired.
Was that you? Lindsay, did you censor that, or was that Twitch that did that? So, yeah, growing up in the age where cameras were becoming a thing on smartphones, so you're doing your typical selfies. But also, I did, when the skies were nice and everything, the cats, animals, and because I liked horse riding so much, I just wanted to start off there. And when I had a few horsey friends at the time, so I really got a lot of practice with shooting them. I got my horse camera.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, Elby. Thanks for reminding me about that. I also had in Lindsay's previous house, in his garage, we set up a little studio.
Oh, wait. Hang on, back up. You didn't do that for your first camera, though.
No, it wasn't for my first camera, so hopefully with that prompt there I'll remember to talk about it. I'll get back to it. Right. Yeah, so my first camera was this one. I don't know if the focus will be there or not, but it's the Olympus.
What model is that beast?
I'm really not sure. It just says HD on it in 3D, but I'm pretty sure it can't do 3D, so I'm not sure.
3D camera?
Olympus. Oh, it's a Olympus SZ10 14 megapixel.
SZ10.
It's okay, it only fell on my desk.
just testing its durability.
Yeah, and it's just a wee compact camera. Just the lens just comes out, and that really begun there, I guess, with just taking pictures of the cats and my friends, family, horses. Horses at this time I didn't really take because it is only an automatic camera. Like it wouldn't be fast enough. Like I couldn't change any settings on it or anything. A broken one, Elby says, yeah, it's not broken.
So is that no manual control, right?
Yeah, no manual control. It's all just auto. And the
Makes
little
sense,
zoom
I
is
guess,
just
first camera.
yeah, and the zoom is just a little reel that you just kind of push it and it just.
So did you do any homework to buy this camera, or was this like a total spur of the moment? Just that one.
I don't actually remember where we got it. LB, do you remember where we got this one? I don't.
How old were you when you got this camera?
I could have been like 16, 17, maybe. Yeah, no, I think I was definitely maybe even 15 or 16, like 16. I think it was definitely around that time because when I was older, coming in at the end, on my last year of high school is when I got my Canon 650D. That was it, that like in the last year of high school, because that's when I also attended the night course at West College Scotland. So PC World, Elby says that I got it from PC World. I don't remember that.
He's digging out receipts. He's like, hang on, I'll find out when.
This is how much it cost.
It was Kevin that sold us it.
Kevin.
With the extended warranty. We came from that family. Just every time anyone brought a camera, we were the first ones to go, no, right, all that. But it got to a stage where the eldest in the family, being my wee nana, she got ill, and obviously she was getting on, and I decided, you know what, I want some pictures, because like this is ridiculous, right? We need to break this mold. Like when she's gone, she's gone. I want some memories. So being really close, I just wanted to as I said, just get some photos. The first camera I had was actually a camcorder that could take a photo, and it had just broke the megapixel mark, and back then it was like everyone's losing their mind. Everyone's losing their mind, right? I don't even know which model it was. It was like £1,000, and it was like a big deal back then. It does video, but you can press a button and it takes a picture, and it's a megapixel. That was blowing people's mind. Anyway, so I wish I had actually loaded up the wee picture in my
If Ferret says he thinks he had one of those.
Oh, okay.
I think I knew one.
All I know is it was
Knew of them. Sorry, I cannot read. He had one.
You almost got there. Almost. I took like some photos and stuff, and then after my nana had passed, and technology caught up very quickly. The first iPhone and stuff came out. Back then, you're used to looking at nothing but nonsense anyway. So you're like, whoa, it looks amazing. Of course, it looks like dog shit, right? So a couple of years after that, I was like, okay, I'm going to get into photography, because I've never done anything creative in that aspect. Never done anything like that in my life. And I'm like, okay. So, as usual, with tech-related mindset people, we take to YouTube and Google reviews, and we review this versus this camera versus how much can I afford, without going silly. So I ended up getting a camera. Let me show you this wee beast. Hang on. It was a Sony HX20V, I think it was called. Hang on a second. That wee monster there. I don't obviously have it, but the story behind why I don't have it is actually quite funny. So that was my first camera, that wee beast.
So why don't you have it?
Yeah, right, fine. Baited. So, sorry, I think I just heard some female Bluetooth voice activated something.
Siri.
Okay, doesn't matter. And I sat my camera. I'm laughing. You are about to laugh in about 10 seconds when I tell you what actually happened. So I set the camera on the roof, strapped him in his wee baby seat, and I got in the car. going up the motorway, and I heard this sound. I'm like, what the hell was that? Got to the other side of Linwood, went to grab my camera and went, oh, now I know what it was. So I've went back on the motorway, went back into back down to where I was, and got to the slip road, pulled in before it, and I ran round to get this camera. And it was still sitting there in one piece, and I'm sitting looking at it, right, and it's no more than, like, I don't know, what's the width of a car, like 2 meters or something, right, like a lane of traffic. And I'm looking at the traffic. I took a step out when I seen a big enough gap, thinking, I'm getting this. You know, it was like a £700 camera. I was like, I'm getting this. I took a step out, and then the traffic was going so fast, obviously. I was like, shit, that catches up pretty quick. So I took a step back, waited for the next gap. And I seen a massive gap, and just as I was getting ready to like run out into the middle of the road, this truck carrying a horse changes lane and squishes the fucking camera right in front of me. Like its wheel, as it's changing lane, it literally squashes the camera, and you just bang, right? It's just in bits. So I've still ran out and I've like scraped what I could off the ground, came back over, and I was literally sitting there like, yeah, okay, so I mean, you can still resemble it's a camera, but its guts is pulling out.
But it's a wee bit all squished.
So it was totally knackered.
It's a wee bit in pieces. I could maybe just glue it back
a
together.
lot. Yeah, it was as you can imagine, it was fucked. And the only reason I was even bothered wasn't the fact that, you know, like, it cost a lot of money or anything like that. It was the fact that the reason I got this camera is because my cousin was going to propose to his girlfriend at his next birthday party, and he asked me if I could take some pictures and maybe a wee bit of video. Like I said, we come from that family where it's like no photos, so if it's in the family, then it's a wee bit different, right? Hang on. Bacon makes me happy. I don't even like bacon.
Well, that's really tragic. F to your first camera.
So I had to go and get another camera. So that wee Sony camera cost me £1,400. I went and bought the same camera.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, same one. So fast forwarding a wee bit. The camera was great. Done the job, done everything I wanted it to, and I eventually met one of my online friends in real life, because he lived local, and he was a photographer. That's the reason, you know, we kind of met up. And I was ranting and raving about this wee kind of compact camera, how great it was. And he had a big DSLR, so he was like, compact camera, get out of here. So I was like, okay, do you want to meet up and we'll compare, like, you know, compare images and stuff, and, you know, all that good stuff. So that's exactly what we did. We geeked it out, we met up, and we took images of the same thing, and we set up stuff, and yeah, we had our geek on. But the scary thing is, his DSLR was like an entry-level Nikon D3100, and it absolutely destroyed my compact camera.
Oh.
So I feel like my camera got destroyed twice.
Oh. One in physical, one in your heart.
Yeah. So, yeah, that led me on to selling that one and getting what a photographer would call a real camera. That was my first DSLR. And that led me to, my first DSLR being this wee beast. A Nikon D7000.
Oh.
In today's
was that the one that you entered college
with? Yes. In today's standard, that's like a dinosaur, but you know, a few years.
It's just a brick.
Yeah, a few years ago, you know, it was pretty decent.
After I got that one, well, I don't know what happened, because this one, my Olympus, I had gotten a fright with it because one time I went to use it and I put the battery in and it sparked at me. So I got like quite a fright from it.
It sparked?
And I was like, yeah, like I don't know what happened. I remember I charged it one time and I put the battery in and it made me go a wee bit funny with it. But ever since that time, it never had any issues. But I decided like I don't want to play with that game with electricity if it starts kind of going a wee bit funny. Because it seems fine now, but I decided to get another camera.
you
And-
just wanted an upgrade.
Maybe, you know, oh my god, there's something wrong with it. No, but really, honestly, it did something. I was like, I'm not doing that. So I decided, this is quite funny. I had been to the cinema and I'd seen, you know, they always do like advertisements for like new cell phones or mobiles and stuff like that. But I had just seen that the Nikon was releasing its new Nikon J1, which Dave has a photo of, and it's also right here. Which was, it's not a DSLR. It's got interchangeable lenses, but it is basically still the same type of idea as like a compact camera. So you can take these lenses off, and I don't mind about the sensor getting kind of wee. I don't even know if let me hold the wrong button. You know, it looked pretty because it seemed like slimline to me.
Could you hold that a wee bit closer to the camera? Let me see.
I mean, it might go out of focus, so I'll keep it here.
It basically reminds me of my wee Sony Cybershot.
And I also got another, like I ended up getting a bigger lens with it too. I can't remember the exact
Is
size.
it a metal construction? Is it solid? Is it like, it looks pretty good. Is it made of metal? Plastic?
Well, for Nikon, it is metal-y. You know, it's not plasticky
For
feeling.
Nikon,
so
it's metal-y? What does that mean?
As if Nikon doesn't have metal cameras, you know. No, it is metal-y for like what it is. So I'd say it's good for like a first time, like starting out type thing, which is why I always believed in like just like getting, you know, not nothing like don't go full out when you're just starting, because you know you need to learn and also you get to see where you've come from. So when I had seen it on the advertisement, you know as they normally do advertise like good at nighttime shots or good at portraits, like facial recognition, I was like, oh, you know, it'll do facial recognition, I don't need to do anything. And so I decided it just looked quite nice and streamlined as well, so you know, just something small but also good at the same time. And this is one that I tried to do my horse equestrian stuff with when I started getting more into it. And I think I didn't do...
Is horse equestrian stuff different from equestrian photography?
No, that was just my like lingo. I think I did with this. I'm trying to remember if it was this one or my next upgrade, but I think it was this one. I would often go out to the... like during the summer, the equestrian shows down at Ingleton and capture. And this one, it doesn't have manual settings either, but it was a wee bit better where you could put it into sports mode and it would capture sometimes, you know, a horse jumping, and I'd always be like, oh, you know, feeling fantastic about it.
Wait, that's a Nikon J1, right?
Yeah, at least I think. Or maybe it was when I got it was either this one or when I got my Canon, but I think I did take some with this, and it did give me some quite good action shots.
Okay.
So it really helped me. You know, it was much better than this one because I actually got to get some shots, so it gave me a confidence in it.
Better than which
and
one?
Also used it for video. Better than the Olympus.
Ah, okay.
And also the video, like it did pretty good at that as well. So, yeah.
What was your upgrade path from that? What was the next one? I know people are probably sitting here going, we don't give a shit, just like...
Well, this is what we're here to talk about. So, after that, it went on to my Canon 650D, which I'm using currently as a webcam. You can see even right now, it's not doing too bad.
Oh, 650D. Okay, hang on. So what would that be to our European friends?
You mean American friends?
Sure. Them as well.
I think it would be like the TI4 or something. I think the T4. And yeah, there it is.
Whoa.
Or T4i.
That's an impressive rip.
That's a really good picture. Look at the resolution on that.
The resolution on that was fantastic. Whoa. Let's get rid of that. I picked some of the best images.
Yeah. With the Canon, I got that, like I said, towards the end of high school. So I was maybe 17, 18. I was actually 17, I remember that, because I had started taking the nighttime course at a college, and it was just like a part-time course you could go along to, like an evening course. And I didn't entirely use my camera in manual yet. I still used it in auto, but I was trying to use manual, but every time I took a picture, it just kind of like black, and I didn't understand why it was always so dark. Because at the time, like manual just seemed really confusing at the time, like something that I thought I would never be able to get right, which I ended up doing. And we did a whole bunch of different photography there. Like we got to do some portraits, some street photography, and all the stuff that I learned in the classes, I then took away and like tried to do at equestrian events. So most of the time I was able to do equestrian photographs and photo shoots outside, but when it came to doing them inside, because of the lighting and the arenas, they're never usually that good, and you're kind of pushing the ISO when it comes to using cameras. And normally you can push the ISO, and if you've got like a decent enough camera and like good enough software, you can just use noise reduction. But I just didn't like that it always came out like extremely noisy. So I always preferred if it was like during the day or outside.
ISO, to our non-photography friends watching, is basically the measurement term for how light or dark image is going to turn out. It's like an amplification. It'd be the equivalent of, LB will know this, he'll be screaming at us going, ISO, I remember buying film to ISO 200. In short, the lower the number of the ISO, the cleaner the image, and the more times you magnify it, it's going to introduce
You
sound.
maybe also call it like grain on a picture.
Yeah.
Like if you ever get like your smartphone and you take a picture at nighttime, it's all like you see lots of little dots on it, different colors. The grain, that's the noise. So that's the sensor is basically trying to get all the detail, but it can't. So it's the electricity that it's taking a picture of, basically. Could I say that?
It's taking a picture
like,
of electricity.
not quite like that, but I simplified, basically not wrong, right?
But at the same time, very wrong. But no, that's fine. I get it. It makes sense.
Not wrong, but not right.
It's good, but it's not right. Let's go with that.
Yeah, and then when I finally learned how to use the 650 with manual settings, everything became a lot easier. So, what was your second? Well, you already said your second camera was the 700?
Yeah, the D7000. Yeah.
7000. So, what was that?
What do you mean? What was that? That was my second camera. That was.
Yeah, like, so why did you choose that?
Okay. So typically, with DSLRs, there is 3 sizes of sensor, which is the most popular. So the terms for these is full frame, crop sensor, and then maybe micro four thirds. Each time the sensor jumps in size, it usually doubles or more. With that, the price goes up. Usually more than double as well. So 9 times out of 10, beginners will start on a point and shoot or their phone now, and then they'll go to a real camera, which is like the ones we were just talking about, the crop sensor ones. And then you very quickly realize that you either outgrow them if you're actually taking it serious, or you realize that you hit limitations that can only be basically rectified by upgrading your camera. And in turn, the camera isn't actually that important. It's the glass that's important. The lenses are far more important than what the camera is, because technology in the camera, 4 years and it's nearly a dinosaur, in technology terms. So the crop sensor that I got was the best kind of crop sensor you could get at the time. So you start paying money for image quality, obviously, and then you start paying money for extra features, like does it have wireless or other connectivity kind of ports, or is it more ruggedly built? Is it made out of magnesium alloy instead of like a carbon plastic?
Did that have an interchangeable lens?
The D7000.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a DSLR.
Hmm.
Sounds like, yeah, you should know.
I'm just asking for like people that maybe don't know.
Okay, yeah.
Since I was saying that like my Olympus couldn't.
But I did air quotation marks for real camera, so you know,
Oh, right.
everyone
Okay.
knows that's.
It's okay. You're real to me.
It's like the Matrix. If you can see it, feel it, and smell it, then you know, must be real. Anyway, yeah. So at the time, I knew that living in this country it's wet 9 times out of 10. So I wanted a camera that it was at least splash resistant. So that's the camera I got, because that at the time was the only one less than like £1,500 that was weather resistant. Did you give us a reason why you done your 650? You told us that you got it, but I don't think you gave us a reason why. Did you? Was there a reason?
I think I just wanted to be able to take better equine photos. Because I think as well, it was maybe around the time when I think it was my 16th birthday. I definitely know it was maybe after that. I must have been 16 then when I got my 650. Wow, was it really that long ago? Maybe Lindsay can help me, like, if he is there, because he says he was AFK a wee while ago. For my 16th birthday, we hired a photographer. So he had like proper DSLRs. I think they were, full frame. They had the massive 70 to 200 lenses, and even literally at the time for me, they seemed bigger than 70 to 200, but they probably were just the normal size of a camera. But thinking back, like now, it's like at the time, like I couldn't, I could barely carry them for any length of time. Whereas now, it's like, oh, now it's just a camera. We're used to it. But yeah, because he had taken our pictures and I seen his work, I was really like, wow. And we had contacted him to see if he could like try and teach me a wee bit, but I still really at the time was not. It would have taken me a wee bit longer to try and understand how manual works. So I just really wanted to do it, I guess, to get better action shots of the horse riding and better video as well. So I think that was the reason why I upgraded to actually start being able to use manual. Another stepping
Did
stone.
the photographer actually teach you some?
Yeah, he took me out to it was Kelvin Grove. We went to like just around the park and we took pictures of pigeons, pigeons, and there was like I think there's a tennis court next to Kelvin Grove
I mean, who doesn't like a good
museum.
picture of a
So
pigeon?
I mean, they're the easiest thing because they're not easy. I mean, like they're easy to get because obviously they're everywhere.
Yeah.
So
There's plenty of those wee flying rats.
and I think there was tennis as well. So
Tennis?
yeah, there was like a tennis court next to Kelvin Grove. So
And
we were just taking pictures through the
pigeons play
fence.
tennis down there? Wow. We're quite advanced.
I mean, that would actually be quite interesting. I wonder how they would play tennis.
They don't need a racket, they just whack it with their wing, right?
I suppose.
Ferret must be sitting here. I don't know if anyone's watching. I don't want to look at the chat.
I think Ferret is still here.
If he's still awake, he must be sitting here thinking,
Oh my
what
god.
was I signed up to? Why did I click on this? First and
Why
last.
am I
First
here?
and last, I guess. You need to learn from your mistakes.
And then I went to when I went into college, I used my 650 all the way. Basically, when was that the second year that I got my next one, or was that? Did I get my 5D Mark III in HNC or HND? Oh, it was in
See.
HNC. Yeah, it was. And then I progressed to a full frame camera, a big boy, proper big boy, like as far as you could get.
So we were just talking
my
about this a
Canon.
second ago, how there's full frame, crop sensor, micro four thirds, and full frame before you go to silly size, and I mean silly size cameras where you're talking about to the point where you're almost throwing a bed sheet over your head and pointing this explosive gun at something going poof. One of these. It's like, yeah, you're talking about like tens of thousands of pounds for the next level of camera.
Yeah, it was, and it's mostly for not just the body but the lenses as well,
Yeah.
because it's the glass that's more expensive. So I got my Canon 650, no, sorry, not Canon 650, Canon 5D Mark III with a 24-70 lens and a 70-200 lens. Um, I forgot also with my Canon 650, I also got a wee micro lens as well. I forgot
Oh,
about
there's
that.
your wee 5D there.
Yep. So that's my 5D Mark III that I got. When looking at it, it doesn't look like a 5D
Oh,
Mark III.
sorry, you want that back on?
Like it looks. Oh, sure.
You can
Um,
reminiscence in the old
yeah,
times.
I've literally not seen it in so long. It looked quite curvy, but I loved the 5D Mark III. I used that camera so much. Used it for. The Canon 5D Mark III didn't have buttons on top like that, did it? It must have, and I'm just forgetting. It's literally
Oh,
been that long.
hang on. Do you know what? I'll put it back up one more time. Hang on. Which buttons?
See the buttons to the top right of it, like.
Yeah, so these were the you had to
Oh,
press
they
those before you
were.
could change your autofocus selection points
That's
because you had to
right.
press
That's
that and then
right.
rotate
Because
the
it was
top dial,
annoying.
and
Yeah, that was annoying
it
because
frustrated
when I
me.
was often doing weddings and I was switching from my Canon and I have to, oh, sorry. So I had to um, click a button and then move the wee joystick to change the focus point. But then when I would take,
And you
um,
mean the buttons on top of the camera there, right?
yeah, on top of the camera and then the wee joystick. And then if I was taking either Dave's camera or a boss's
What are
camera,
you doing?
like
What are
you
you doing to that
just
mic?
I know I'm pure abusing it. Then I just had to move the wee bit without pushing any buttons, and you could just move it. It was much quicker, and I always hated it because the Canon. And then also the difference between using Canon and Nikon is the focus barrels turn different ways. So if you want to zoom in, you might turn that way, and if you want to zoom out, you turn that way. But then it was if you want to zoom in, you turn that way, and then that way. And I had to keep remembering I had to remember which one to use. But yeah, no, I loved the Canon 5D Mark III. That was the one that definitely got me into getting better equine shots where I did loads of weddings with it and loads of equestrian photo shoots and events with it. Like, it was just, I love it. I love that camera.
Unfortunately, because this is my first stream and I've not done enough homework, I would have got some of your work because I know some of your work was pretty good, but I didn't get any off you. Maybe next time. Next time, folks.
Next time, that will be another podcast. We can go over our work. Ugh. I mean, I like some of the work, but other bits of it I don't
I was
really
going
like.
to say we're going to go over it. Though it was actually, you know what? I'm sitting bashing it, right? The stream you done recently with your old drawings, right? Was it as cringy as you thought? Like, generally, when I was looking at it, I was kind of like just thinking to myself, it's a good stepping stone to just see how much you actually have progressed, right?
That's exactly what I said in the stream was, a lot of people delete their work because they're like, don't want to look at that again. It embarrasses them, but I do
Do
definitely
you mean
believe that.
photos, sorry, or do you mean like art, sorry?
Well, and I'm saying like in the stream I said about art, but I guess it could also relate to your photography. Like, it helps you see where you did come from, and I just think it's a good place like that you can look back at it. It is embarrassing to look at, but I definitely think you do just get to see how far you've come. And it sometimes maybe if you're not feeling as motivated or you think you're maybe not progressing, that you can look back and see, oh, actually maybe I'm better than I was 2 years ago. So does that mean maybe in another year or another year or two I could be better than where I am now?
And what's the answer to that?
Definitely.
Yes, good.
Because if you're not, you're shite.
The first drawings I ever did were the best work I've ever done.
Yeah.
I need to ask something. You've got green catch lights on your glasses. Have you got a green light in front of you or something?
It's funny because it's not green, but every time
Is it maybe a coating on the optics, maybe?
Well, sorry. With these ones, yeah, these have got. I think it's these ones, or it's my other one because I've got two sets of glasses. These ones have got. I can't remember what it's called. There is a coating on it.
Maybe polarized
Lens-
filters built into the glasses.
these aren't the ones, funny enough. I don't know why it's coming up green, but my other ones, like if there's so I would use these ones for editing photos and drawing, other than the other ones, because the other ones have like it's a tint, it's like a blue tint on it, and basically what it does is, I actually don't know what it does. Oh my god! But
Is it not just a polarizing filter?
no, it's not for like the sun or anything like that. It's just anti-glare, is it? But the only thing is, like, see if I look at pure white on like a picture, if it's white and I put the glasses on, it comes up yellow.
Okay.
So then when I'm editing a picture and I want it to be white, or if I'm drawing a picture and I want white, I might get confused because I'm like, that looks yellow, or the other colours look a wee bit off. But Ferret's saying that it's anti-glare and he has them as well.
Okay.
So I think it is
Hey,
anti-glare.
Ferret, could you tell us if the audio sync is okay? Like, some of it looks fine, and other times it's kind of lagging behind.
Like, we know the audio sounds fine, but is it synced? Excuse me. Sorry, I really hope they didn't hear that.
Yeah, never mind the guys sitting here with a pair of earphones, like HD burp in my ear. You know, it's fine.
He says it seems fine so far.
Okay, cool.
That's good.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah, so I think you're always going to progress. 650, is it a 5D Mark III? Yep. Then what did you get? Did you go into your full frame?
Inevitably. Yep. Certainly did. I got the Nikon D4S, which looks a wee bit like, hang on, I'll put my mug on so we can get a wee butchers at that. This thing was a fucking tank.
It was like like if they say like it's hit you like a ton of bricks, it was heavier than a brick. Like it's like it was just solid.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was solid.
So sorry, I'm going to bring this back up a sec. Hang on. So
Keep it up. It's nice with it up when you're talking about it.
underneath the lens here, typically when you get a DSLR camera, it's like half the size of this, right? What you can do is you can add a battery grip, which is like the vertical grip at the bottom. So if you
That's
look at
right.
the bottom of this image here, you can see it's got a lip, right? You can see the typical way you would hold it on our left, viewer's right hand side there. And then there's also the grip at the bottom, so that if you were taking someone's portrait and you rotate the camera,
And a portrait, and it's got a button, like a
yeah,
capture button as
basically
well on the
yeah,
side.
it's basically got two sets of
That's something I remember that I can't remember if I do with the Sonys, is that every time, I can't remember if it is with the Sonys or not, I think it is, that when you put your camera down by your side, if you have the battery grip turned on and you leave with the black rapid straps and it hits your thigh, it takes a picture because the button is pressed against you. Does that happen with the Sonys, or did that happen with you?
it's not something I'll lock mine all the time, and I think it's probably for that reason. I'm pretty sure
So you don't accidentally take a
I
picture.
think the buttons on the cameras that we have now are very flush to the actual body, so it's quite easy to press it by mistake. So I think I did an Asian wedding, and I was going through the images thinking, why the hell have I got an upside blood image of the floor?
Of someone's feet.
There was a picture of someone's feet one time, and they were dancing about with no shoes on, and I don't like feet. Like, we don't hang on, wait. I wish I knew how to zoom for this. We don't like feet. Except for walking, of course. But yeah, and I'm just looking at this pair of like dirty old lady feet, and I'm like, ah. So I learned that lesson fast. Lock that shit. Okay, let's see how we're getting on here. What's our next topic?
You were going to talk about your big boy camera? Your full frame camera? You didn't go into that too much.
Oh, sorry, did I just kind of skim over? Okay. So that big tank that I just showed you, the D4S, I got that, but I got this in the maybe halfway or maybe towards the third stage of my first year in college of photography. And at the time, it was one of the best DSLR cameras in the world.
Wow.
So I knew I wanted to do wedding photography, and this camera's famous for being built like a shipwreck house. Like, quite literally, you could probably fucking hammer nails with that thing, and it would be fine. Like,
Yeah.
you'd probably break the nail before you broke
Yeah.
the camera, right?
You'd break the floor before you broke the
Yeah,
camera.
you could drop that thing, and you're probably going to put a hole in the floor. You're not going to break the camera.
Break a toe.
Definitely, 100%, or your money. I think that might have actually been
Or your
that might have
money's
been a
back.
sales pitch. If your toes can survive and the camera breaks, we will give you your money back. But yeah, so this thing's built like a tank. But on top of that, the ISO that we were talking about a minute ago, how each time you magnify, the image degrades until it looks like the old TV static kind of, like it just looks like shit. The grain. So this camera was famous for having like stupidly clean high ISO. I know I said that right. I'm just making sure that people that sinks in. So basically, you could shoot in near darkness, and the images would be okay. I don't want to say clean, but for the technology of that time, it was staggering. I'm saying that time as if it was like years and years ago, but
That as well. Did you not say when you got it, it was already like a 5 or 6 year old camera?
no, it was 2. No, it was 2.
2 years? Oh, at the time when you
Yeah.
got it.
So,
And in terms of cameras, is that old?
I want to say it depends, and the reason I'm saying it depends is because this is like the megapixel race on phones and cameras, right? So typically 2 years is about the lifespan. 4 years, you're kind of pushing it, right? But every so often, I feel like technology they just release shit for the sake of releasing something, and on paper, it's like it does this so much better. But it's like an incremental upgrade. Like let me give you an example that everyone knows. If anyone has ever had an iPhone 6, and then they bring it the next year, they bring out the latest and greatest, a 6S, and it's like, what is it do different? Oh, it's got a bigger battery. Okay, what else it got? I don't know, a different processor. It's Bluetooth 4.2 instead of 4.1. It's like all these incremental things. And then they do the same, iPhone 7, 7S. Anyone who's on Android would be like the S6, the S6s.
Eric, this is Android.
Yeah, so like you get what I mean. Sometimes they just release stuff for the sake of, just pumping something out because there is people out there who's like, I must have the latest and greatest.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, sorry, I kind of went on a rant there. The D4 at the time, nothing was better than it. Without going into like Sellyville, crazy money. But then in the past couple of years, in the past maybe 2.5, let's say 3 years. In the past 3 years, technology has like fucking leapfrogged. So those DSLR things, they're like fucking dinosaur. They're about to die, right? People, there's still a crazy amount of people who just refuse to upgrade. And the same thing happened when the ferret's going to face palm, and anyone else is listening, they're going to be like, what? The same thing happened when film happened. When people were changing from film to digital, like the things we know, right? You get a fucking SD card, you put it in your camera, and that's it, right? But obviously back in the day, everyone knows what film is, right? You have to have like this big stupid spool and rewind it and all that shit. I never even used it, but I know what it is. And as digital was released, initially it was worse than film, then it caught up, and then it leapfrogged because the technology was there. And big companies like Kodak used to be like the absolute daddy of, hey, are you getting something printed? Okay, you're going to Kodak's then.
Yeah.
So like they went bust. Like people just, if they don't keep up with the times, then they go under. That's just the way it works. And like I was saying, those DSLRs, the technology's still there, but they're big and clunky, and they've reached the end of the lifespan. There's things now. The thing's replacing it, by the way, is a mirrorless camera. Much
I was just about
smaller.
to say, do you think that the Canon, is it 4D? D4? Canon D4. Nikon D4 is maybe people didn't want to have them because they were getting bigger and heavier for the more things that they had inside, to now the mirrorless where they're smaller, lighter. Like that one photographer that you used to watch, Jason Lanier. You know, he would show off the Sony A7 by holding it with one hand with a 7200 lens on it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, I wouldn't buy a camera because some fucking YouTuber
Yeah,
holds
of
it with one
course.
hand. I'm like, oh,
Of
he's
course.
so cool.
But it just shows you like how we did start off with small cameras. Like when we were doing film, at least I think they were small. I don't know about the different format of film cameras. I really don't know much about
They're
that.
kind of the same as what we have now. It's like if you start off, you can get a small film camera, but you can get.
But like, were they heavy?
Typically, they were heavier, only because.
Like the slats that they would put in and stuff for like high format camera.
Well, I don't. I think it was a lot more difficult to make these things out of plastic. So I think,
Mm.
you know, like the old saying, they don't make them like they used to. So I think these things were like built like tanks. But like everything else, you could obviously get cheaper end models that were just like paperweights.
Sorry, so going on to your Sony mirrorless.
Yeah, so mirrorless is the thing that's replaced DSLRs, and it's not because they're smaller, because it's actually a drawback that it's smaller, because only photographers will get this, I guess, if they've had a shot of a mirrorless. So we were talking about a minute ago how that D4 was a tank, right? And like we've said numerous times already, that the lens is more important, more expensive, and 9 times out of 10, if you're using a professional lens, it's heavier than your camera. So if you're holding this wee dinky camera, you know, it's got like next to no grip, and you know you're getting like hand cramps because you're holding like a 2 kilogram lens on this wee camera. No, it's like it's like you know your first camera, your Nikon J1. It's put that up a
You
second.
mean Matt Olympus?
No, not that one. The yeah. Do you know what? No, bring that up. Bring that
I
up.
thought you were making a joke going, you know, your first camera,
No.
the Nikon. I thought you were making
Sorry,
a
no,
joke.
I just had a brain fart moment there. No, bring it up. Let me see. So, so it's equivalent of putting.
Like a ridiculously big lens
Yeah,
on
I was
it
gonna say
with a wee teeny body.
It's
'cause
hard. I don't have anything.
well, we've got a Sony A7.
I don't have anything handy.
It's still got the battery thing in it, but like this is the Sony A7 S, not A7, sorry, just 7S. And you can see like the body is still relatively small, like the same as the Nikon, but just with a much bigger lens on it.
And that's a baby lens. Like the one that's on there, that's the
That's a baby.
smallest
That's-
lens you can get.
Is that 50?
Yeah, 51.8.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, so it's the equivalent of. I don't know how this is kind of shown on video. It's hard to demonstrate, I guess. But basically, you've got this small grip, but you're holding a lot of weight with it. So smaller isn't. Oh, sorry, I might have just actually ate the mic there. Good mic etiquette is just,
Is to eat the mic.
of course. So yeah, it's not always good. You know, sometimes, you know, technology does that thing where iPhone's done it. I think Samsung. Yep, no, they have 100%. Samsung did it. I was trying to think if Android did this. So you remember when iPhones used to be in the equivalent of Android, right? So you remember how phones used to be like a nice wee phone size? What a measurement that is, a phone size, but like a typical phone size, right? And then I'm thinking for Android people, Samsung S4, S5, right? That would be like the iPhone 4, iPhone 5, right? These were good size phones to me, like a phone size phone should be. And this was obviously the back end of phones being big dinosaurs, and they were getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And now we're on like the S20 Ultra, which is
We're getting bigger
the
again.
S20 Ultra it's like holding this fucking TV remote. You're like, yeah, hello, here's my phone. Hello, you're holding this big thing. It's ridiculous. And I think they're actually called phablets. I think it's like a phone tablet. Yeah, it's a phone tablet. No, I didn't just make that up. That's a real thing.
Really?
Yeah. You can Google that shit. But yeah, so ranting again. We went off topic. So same thing applies, right? Technology gets smaller, but glass is the one thing that we can't really improve on very quickly. It's a technology that was perfected a long time ago, and we can make like coatings on glass, and we can add certain things to like a lens. We're really talking about a lens here as well. So like you were saying about your glasses, you've got like anti-reflective, anti-glare coatings. So like you pay a lot of money to have that on your camera, so that if you're shooting a video or taking a picture and like the sun's like just off to the side, but you're facing into the sun, you'll get this kind of glare, which just looks like kind of green circular balls coming down the lens. I don't know how well it.
Sun glare.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But I was trying to describe what it looks like. I've probably done a really poor job. Sorry.
I felt like if you had said glare from the sun, it would have made. I would have got it. Like you said, what it was actually called instead of describing it.
I think I did say it, to be fair. I think I was also trying to describe it at the same time. I was trying to kid on you what I meant.
Charades.
Yeah. Hang on. I need to wet my lips.
No, but it's like, how do you feel going from like DSLR to mirrorless? Like, are you happy with that? Is there things that you maybe don't like, or?
The size thing we were talking about is one of the big issues for me.
The size of the camera?
Yeah.
Why?
Like the thing I was just talking about, I feel like I went from extreme, right? So it took me a slight adjustment period to get used to an absolute fucking tank-sized camera to
suddenly something very small.
this leapfrog in technology where, the camera is very small. But on top of that, like I said, if you're holding a decent-sized camera weight with very little grip, especially when your hands are in typically this position, any long period of time you start kind of cramping.
Yeah, you get weird cramps in your fingers.
But that's not just me. It's not like because I've.
That's a thing that every photographer gets.
So, it's new technology, but some of the newest mirrorless cameras are getting bigger again. So eventually they're going to end up being the same size as DSLRs, or somewhere a wee bit smaller, but not much.
Because I think when you had said to me about changing from DSLR to mirrorless, I was like. It was kind of like a jump that I was scared. Like I was kind of going into the unknown because I didn't know too much about it. I had seen like Jason Lanier and stuff like that, but you don't exactly know what you're getting into until you've actually got it. And I decided, if it's meant to be like the future of photography, I guess, I don't think we'll entirely leave DSLRs in the dirt like film did. I'm not sure. I mean, we don't know. But I would say I feel there's more. I do definitely like that it made things easier in the sense of having an electronic viewfinder. Like what you saw through the viewfinder was what you got, like was what you took a photo of. Because too many times with my Canon, I would look through the viewfinder and be like, that looks so nice, and then take the picture and it wasn't the same, like it was dead dark, and I'm like, why does it need to tease me like that? Like, or sometimes I'd just look at it sometimes and just be like, it looks so good that I wish I could just get that. But every single time, even when I have my settings bang on, it doesn't look the same as it does just through the glass and the viewfinder. But when you do it in the Sonys, that's exactly what you're going to get. You always know, it's like guaranteed.
So a quick catch up for anyone who's listening. basically what you were just saying there, the DSLRs, you would look through a piece of glass, and as a trained photographer, you're like I said, you're just looking through a piece of glass, right? So if you're
like guessing.
so you're trained to the extent where if you walk into a room, you have to know what your settings are, and you'd maybe take a test shot just to confirm it.
That's right.
But for example, if you generally just had a piece of glass and you look through it, and then you take a picture with the camera, it's not what you get. You need to know how much light is in that room and change your settings accordingly. But with the mirrorless cameras, what happens is it's more like a smartphone in the sense that when you point your camera at something,
I like on your phone.
It's already,
like that's what you see,
record,
and you click the button.
So imagine the opposite way around. Imagine you hit record and you go to play it back and you go, why is everything black? Why
it's
is
like
everything
dark.
Or why is it super overexposed? Why is
I
everything
don't really
just
like
white? So yeah, that's
it's the exact same. It really is like that.
So do you know
That's
what?
why
Can I
it's
just bring up
convenient.
a point here? Like one of the big things that really sold it for me personally was, so on a typical DSLR, if you go to take a picture, you're faced with looking at something along the lines of this. So this is a box, and these wee squares inside is where you can move your focus to. So as you can see on this elephant, right, that's fine as long as your subject is in the middle of your image. But let's say for a second, there was something. Imagine the mum of this elephant was also just in front of it, and you wanted to focus on that. You couldn't, because it's outside the box of where it can focus. So what you would have to do to get around that is you'd have to swing your camera, point it at mum, focus, and then turn it back to look at the kid. Let me bring up another one too.
Thank you for coming. He's just saying he's going to go to bed now because it's late.
Okay, perfect. Well,
thank you so much for coming. It means so much.
Yep, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for listening to us ramble on about photography.
So this is more. This is a good example.
See you.
So if this was on a DSLR, if you wanted to focus on the person in the yellow and black there, you wouldn't be able to. You'd have to move the camera so the person in yellow was in the middle of the frame, and then recompose. And obviously, like the example I just showed you there was what you see with the mirrorless cameras. They've almost got a complete coverage. You can focus on pretty much anything. And I know to people who either haven't made the switch yet, or if you're maybe just not photography minded, that this whole podcast wasn't for you. But on top of that, it probably didn't make much sense. But once you've kind of realized the limitation, you can't go back. Like once you've kind of had a sample of mirrorless, you can't go back to a DSLR. Anything to add?
No, I would agree.
That's interesting.
That's interesting. No, it does. So we've came a long way from going from, basically just to be compact cameras like this, all the way to our Sonys. Have you got no picture of the Sonys?
I do. Let's see here. There we go. There's a nice wee picture.
There we go.
Your Sony there. But yeah, I mean, the weight thing that we were talking about, the thing people don't really understand unless you are a photographer, is when you are getting into photography, you need a backup of everything, right? You go on a shoot,
Definitely.
and the more important the shoot, the more important
You
it
need
is
to
that you
double,
need to
triple,
have a backup.
quadruple
Yeah.
check.
You need to make sure that if one of your cameras goes down, stops working, gets dropped, starts raining, and
A battery.
like everything, right? Just
Mhm.
anything you can think of on photography, you need to have two of them, right? Because I mean, we do wedding photography, which is not something you can be like, hey, I missed your kiss because I ran out of battery. So
Yeah, there's
is there any
no
chance you
room
could,
for
any
that.
chance you could redo that? So like here's an example, right? We end up getting to the stage of, by the way, we're not gearheads. I know we've been talking a lot about gear, and this doesn't help things. But this is genuinely a typical kit,
Yep.
and this is kind of what you're pretty much. This is what you're carrying.
God, look at all the stuff.
This is what you're carrying. I mean, this is strapped to us, right? Like this stuff is like, this is the stuff that we're carrying on our shoulders for like 12, 14 hours at our wedding. So when you're sitting there thinking, oh, that's quite heavy, and I don't know if I fancy this or that. Well, imagine it times by, like 2 cameras a wee bit heavier, so you times it by 2.
Mm-hmm.
Lenses a wee bit heavier, well, times it by 2.
You end up with a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So that's one of the things.
And it's heavy.
It's still heavy, like I said, it's the glass.
So you need a big bag to put everything in.
Yeah.
Suitcase.
Yeah, not far wrong. It kind of is a suitcase, I guess. I
Basically.
forgot about this. Like, all the stuff that we had there before we sold everything started, obviously, like making. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Hang on.
Is that my
There
Canon
you go.
stuff? Oh, and Nikon as well. Oh yeah, we made a funny picture.
Yeah, I was just bored. It was one of those days, and I thought it'd be funny.
It was a good idea.
I still don't think I should have advertised it as a rifle for sale. Maybe that was a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, at the time it was okay. Maybe not like during the now.
Don't worry, I never advertised a rifle.
No. Rate my gear.
Yeah. No. So that's one of the things I'm quite grateful for. Excuse me, sorry. It's one of the things I'm grateful for moving to mirrorless as well, is that, it's a fair bit lighter. Still heavy, but definitely lighter than what we're used to with the DSLRs. What's our next topic? We got anything else?
That was both of the topics. Why did we get into photography and what camera gear we used?
Okay.
That's this going on for an hour and 15.
Okay. I've got a question for you.
Okay.
Maybe 2. I'll see how.
Will you upload this onto YouTube?
Is this my first or second question?
First.
Yeah, I'll put it on YouTube, sure. But I'll need to cut this piece out, and the amount of times me going
You've literally not even said that much. You're fine.
After listening to, there was a person who spoke on TV about jets, and the amount of times he made an audible pause, and
every few seconds.
and there was like and the it baffled me. It was horrible to listen to. Like, I know that this is a skill by itself. Like, before I started this, my first YouTube video, I was exactly like that. I can talk, right? I'm not a quiet person by any means. I can talk to Mon Shadow. I could talk. I'll talk in an empty room. But looking at a lens and not having someone to interact with
bounce
is
back off of. Yeah.
very, very disorientating to me. It's very.
I feel like doing this though is like good practice.
Yeah, definitely. See, now I'm very aware of the but
you just need to like turn that off. Like,
it's a new skill set for me, so I'm okay with it.
And me too. Heck, I don't even talk.
So potentially 2 questions, but my question now is your journey through photography so far. Yeah. knowing what you know now, if not even yourself, like knowing what you know now, just imagine if you had a friend or a kid's niece, nephew, whatever, if someone come up to you basically and they were like 14, 15, 16, super enthusiastic, giving it, I want to get a camera or I want to go to college to do photography, what would your advice to them be? What would you say? Let's start with gear. Sorry, I realised that was a couple of points.
Well, I was going to go into that anyway because definitely for me, like I know a lot of people like to they see people using gear. It's the same in the art industry as well. Like they see artists that have had lots of experience using, the most expensive, the biggest of gear, the Cintiqs and all that. And it must be the same with like people wanting to start off with photography, seeing, the Sony A7 Mark III? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
A7 Mark III. You're getting 5D Mark III in my head, and I'm like, A7 Mark III. My God, all these numbers are like confusing me now.
The names that they give cameras and the different versions of
all
cameras.
numbers.
Imagine you had a phone called an iPhone 11 RS Max Mark III.
Yeah, so, and then you've got the Mark II and the Mark 1, and then just the Mark.
And then there's like an S designation and an R designation.
Yeah, because it's...
Okay, sorry, sorry, you were saying.
So I would say, basically, kind of like what I did, like I was saying when I was talking about my photography experiences, do start off with maybe some of the cheaper brands or like simpler equipment, because I just feel it's better to just kind of take it in baby steps, because I know probably at the time I could have just gotten, a decent camera, but I might not have appreciated what I had, and I guess that's more my attitude towards it, is appreciating where I've come from and never letting myself be in, having a negative attitude about it. So I would say definitely, if someone said to me like, what camera should I get, like I've never taken photos before, I would maybe skip these two, because they did allow me to start, but I couldn't reach exactly what I wanted when I first started. So some people have already asked me in the past, like what, my wife is wanting to start photography, what should I start off with? I always definitely say the Canon 650D or the camera, or, maybe just the 650D, because, or something round about that. Not because I don't actually know a lot about like what beginner cameras maybe to use, but just from my own experience, beginner.
Oh, that was not bad.
Definitely just to use like the enjoyment that I had out of the 650D, which it allowed me to not only just use automatic when I needed it, when I wasn't ready, but also to learn everything going into manual, and also be able to take manual photos and put a trigger on top of the camera and use it in a studio and still get pretty good pictures. It was enough for a beginner, and I definitely used that for the longest time until I got my Canon 5D Mark III, which wasn't until my second year in college.
See, the thing I find interesting about your answer, a lot of it lines up with me.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things I think really puts new photographers off is automatic mode it's very unpredictable. You're asking the camera to say, hey, do you really know what I'm looking to get? And
I remember it being worded as like using the camera to make choices for you.
And the choices it's trying to make is, it's not sitting here going, what do you want for lunch, Dave? But what it is,
it doesn't know the exact scenario of what you're looking for. It's like making a presumption.
So, automatic modes on cameras is pretty much just looking at light. So it's looking at blacks and looking at whites. And
it's just trying to get
in the middle. Trying to get this middle grey area, right?
Mm-hmm. But I know, like if you're shooting against light, with a subject, you might be wanting that silhouetted, but the camera's telling you, no, we want to see them, we want to see the subject, but that might not be what you're looking for.
So I think the advice you gave, like I said, most of it it lines up with me. But I think the big problem with people starting as photographers is, like I said, the automatic mode is so unpredictable. You could literally, as you were saying, if you gave a scenario where a person was standing on the beach with the sun over the water behind them and you wanted to take a nice picture, right? And you point it at them. One of the images, the person might be completely black and the sky looks beautiful. And the other one, the sky could be completely fucking white, washed out. You can't see a thing. But the person
And you'll get the
looks
person.
fine, right? And that's fine because what the human eye can see between dark and light, technology is nowhere near that yet, right? So that's one of the things.
No shit.
That's one of the things that people just don't understand until you get into photography a wee bit. But the biggest thing for me that probably I think puts people off, like it still puts me off to this day, is the low quality screen that you see when you hit play. So see if you take a picture and you look at it and you kind of go, I mean, okay. See when you're used to when you're used to holding, this 4 inches from your face, and it's like a like a perfectly amazing touch screen, beautifully almost color calibrated display. That everything looks clean, sharp, and everything's perfect. And then you go to like a kind of beginner camera, and it's usually like this budget screen because they're obviously trying to make a camera and a screen, and everything's budget, right? So like this, one of the big things is, like I said, the screen being so poor quality, people would probably look at it going, it looks okay. And then it depends on the purpose of why the person's taking photos. Like if you're just taking pictures to throw on social media, stick to your iPhone.
Yeah.
But if you're generally looking to actually get into photography and learn all the aspects of it, 100%. Like, I'm with you. But I think a conversation with the person,
would it really, sorry, just to say, like, would it really save the person money though? Because for the cost of like an iPhone, for example, which will give them a camera, like does what they need, for if they're wanting to put photos on social media, or photos of their family or whatever, or even if they do want to try like a wee bit of photography with their camera, considering the price of an iPhone, could it maybe be just as well that they maybe get an entry-level camera, like a 650, and maybe experiment, even if they do just use it for automatic, like for like the streamer I was watching the other day, like she went and got her camera to take photos for her Instagram. Now, I don't know how serious she is online and like taking photos, but I'm pretty sure she's not doing photography professionally, like earning money from it, but definitely more of as a hobby for like her Instagram. So I could see why maybe she preferred to use a camera, but do you kind of get what I'm trying to say?
kind of.
Like, so I know like they maybe don't need to, like you were saying, like not like you don't need to get a camera because you're not going to do photography 100%. But then the other side I'm just flinging at it is, well, they could just get a camera just to play about with. No, it doesn't need to be if you were talking about a big, like a serious full frame camera and that, then yeah. But if it's something maybe like the 650, then I understand like getting it just for something to play about with. So I'm just saying, like, thinking money standard wise, would they really be saving that much more money on like a 650D compared to like an iPhone, for example?
Okay, so your answer needs to be broken into a couple of points. I'll try and keep it as simple as I can, because I know people are like, oh god, he's talking again. Most people, can I say most people have got like a decent high-end phone? Can I say that?
I guess in
I don't
today,
want to generalize and say everyone's got the latest and greatest iPhone, but I don't mean that. I just mean even if your iPhone or Android, whatever, is a couple of generations old, right?
yeah, it's still good enough.
I would say if you're talking about like an entry or budget level professional camera, budget entry level versus generation to, I wouldn't go as far as maybe 3 generations, but like 2 generation old phone compared to like an entry level professional camera, is the learning curve and expense. You can't put these cameras in your pocket, right? And they're heavy. There's a massive learning curve, and then before you know it, you've got this big bulky camera, and you quickly realize that you want more than one zoom lens, and then you want a flash, and then you need a card reader, and if you want to go anywhere, you're the designated reporter that's like, you know, pointing your camera at everyone, and then you've got a backpack to carry it in versus that.
No, I guess at the same time, like, even if they didn't want to just have their iPhone, they didn't need to. They don't need to have all of that. Like, they could just go around with their 650, I guess.
Again, it would, for me personally, I couldn't give advice to someone without getting more information. I couldn't just answer like a Facebook question of, hey, what camera should I get? Because
it is a difficult question because you do need to understand like the circumstances of it. It's like what it's for.
You don't want to give anyone bad information, because at the end of the day, you don't know what, if a £200 camera is expensive to one person, it means nothing to someone else, right? And vice versa. Like, there'll be people who go, well, £200 is like, yeah, it's the most I can afford, right? And then there'll be people who you give them advice and they think, right, okay, if I buy the most expensive camera and the most expensive lens and everything else, you know, in between, you know, you do the whole A to Z, right? Does that mean that when he takes a picture it's going to be awesome? No. It still has to learn you still need to learn the fundamentals of photography. Otherwise you're going to be, you know, you're just going to be a fucking idiot. You're going to be that guac. That's a guy with a camera.
The uncle.
Yeah, you're going to be Uncle Bob, who's got this big, ridiculous size camera, who is standing in the middle of the aisle, basically, like, sit down, put your iPad out. But yeah, we're not even talking about just photography here. You literally transfer this to any trade. Does a good oven make Gordon Ramsay's food better? No. No.
It's all down to the eye. The eye of the user.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll go with that. So hopefully that answered.
What's your second question? Sorry.
It's fine. Like, we covered both. Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I'm trying to
1 hour 30?
I'm trying to think. Oh, hang on. College? Would you go back to college?
Yeah, well, we had some, but do you want to save that for another one? Because we've not got anyone watching.
I don't care if no one's watching. This is for YouTube as well.
We've already got 1 hour and 30 footage.
You want to leave this? You want to call it?
It's up to you.
Right, call it then. Okay.
You're the host.
Okay, I think we'll call it there. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Doodle, where can people find you online?
You can find me at Twitter at Digital Doodle X, or you can find me here on Twitch at It's a Digital Doodle, sorry. That's basically where you can get me.
Perfect. Okay, we'll put a link on the screen there. Well, thank you so much, guys. I hope this was hopefully we didn't bore you too much to sleep. I know a lot of this podcast was about gear. I didn't want to talk about the human malware situation and everything that's going wrong in the world, so I thought we'd kind of keep it simple and go back to our roots a wee bit. So if you enjoyed it, guys, give it a like. If you've got a question, leave a comment. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. But if it was terrible, you know,
just tell us anyway.
You know, hit that dislike button twice. Anyway, this is Digital Dave signing off. Until next time.
See you.